Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Trekyards. I am Captain
And I am
Foley.
Connor Collins. Welcome back.
And today we're going to be talking about something that occurred in episode 8, season 3 of Discovery, Sanctuary. We find out the cause, well, the origin of the burn, and it's a nebula. But not just that, it's a nebula with a particular signal or music sound thing coming out of it, which turns out to actually be a distress signal from a Federation ship, which is opening up a lot of possibilities as to what it could be. One of the most obvious that people have pointed out is the fact that it could be the discovery we see in Calypso, which was sitting in a nebula for 1,000 years. So that's kind of the obvious thing, but it might be a red herring. But we're here to talk about that and kind of... And this is just a quick little foray into it to get your minds working, because we do want to do a live on this next week sometime. So be sure you tune in for that if you have anything to say.
So I liked that scene in general. We called a lot of it, which is great. The one frame from the trailer, we're able to deconstruct it and find out all the stuff. And I quite liked the... It felt, for what is an odd concept, very much like Battlestar Galactica, All on the Watchtower, that music that spans stuff. I thought it was relatively well done. The idea that, yes, it's a certain frequency which happens to match perfectly these songs. That's weird. Although it was odd that Stamps was like the Barzans on the Seed Vault that I wasn't part of and I didn't listen to.
Well, that being said, he would have been told the story. Plus, they had the display that had signal from Verubin Nebula, music from Seed Ship, and music from Gray's cello.
But it's weird that he was the one, because he wasn't there. And obviously you have logs and stuff, but only Burnham clocked it as being important. So I don't think, I can't see Culber walking to his quarters after saying, "Hey, honey, hey, by the way, yes, their family got killed. Oh no!" And they were humming this song in a past recording. Oh, what song? I'll hum it for you. That's it. You know what I mean? But there are records and stuff. But the way he said it was like as if I was there. It just stood out a little bit as being a bit odd. Idea of sort of putting it all together was good, was neat. I didn't like almost the Saru that uses eyes to zoom in on the data, but the ears was fine. But I like that he was the one that kind of heard more. We had that weird scene in season 1 where he zooms in on a view screen image to see more detail, despite a view screen image being a digital representation with only a certain number of pixels, so you can't fake zoom. If you look at your phone and you look closer, there isn't new detail there. There's only so much detail the thing can represent. So at least this made a bit more sense because you can hear the frequency. So I thought that was better done than the other time. And it being revealed as a stress core was interesting. We've definitely called that the burn is probably caused by a Federation experiment that accidentally went wrong. Or the way they play it, if we assume it's not Discovery for a second, past future Discovery, that opens the door to a lot of what ifs. Was a ship so close to the start of the burn that it got lost and then did that distress signal, but it happens to be right there? Was it one that caused the burn? Did it fight a ship that caused the burn? Was it not affected by the burn because it was so close but got attacked by something else? There's any number of potential reasons. Or was it, an old ship that got abandoned, lost with an old experiment, and then went bad, kind of like Pegasus in TNG, an old experiment ship and then something went wrong, caused the burn accidentally when, thing plus thing caused thing. So I kind of hope it's something more creative. That said, talk about it being Discovery itself, because obviously Calypso was a short from season 1, long time ago, long before they thought they were going to go to the future. I mean, that was a complete, we'll design something kind of cool, and because we're never going to go to the future, so let's do something in the future. Oh no, now we're in the future. How are we going to connect it all? Okay. Okay. So yeah, talk about that and your sort of, not argument, but where's the evidence it's going to be Discovery itself?
First of all, I do disagree with you on the short idea. I think that they did have something planned that they're now working in. But anyway, in Calypso, we find out that Discovery has been sitting inside of a nebula for 1,000 years. It basically was told to stay there. The crew would be back for it at some point, which is strange wording for sure. It's been sitting for 1,000 years. The AI, or the sphere data, essentially has now become Zora, which is this artificial intelligence, and Kraft, a gentleman in an escape pod, gets tractored in by the ship and returned to health, and kind of has a little bit of a love affair with the ship before he realizes he has to go back to his family. It's a nice, touching short. It's one of the best shorts as far as being as far as the script and the acting goes.
Well, it's the best short because it's not Star Trek at all. It's just a good short. It could be anything, you know?
Yeah. So the theory is that 1,000 years links up quite close with 930 years. You know, it's just kind of an estimate or whatever. It is in a nebula. It has been sitting there. So now that we've run across a nebula with a ship in it, a Federation ship that has had a Federation distress signal, it seems very, very, very likely that it is Discovery. Somehow, whether it's a discovery from another universe that was somehow put in this nebula, whether it's the discovery from the past, that a different past, I don't know, a different reality, different whatever, or even if it's this discovery that somehow gets turned back into not refitted version and sent back. Who knows? There's possibilities there. It's Star Trek, it's sci-fi, anything can happen. I'm hoping kind of like what you said is correct, because I would love it to be a ship that either caused the burn as a scientific experiment. You know, if the Federation, it'd be like an episode of TNG. The Enterprise needs to solve this problem. The lithium's getting low. Oh, look, we found this thing in this nebula. If we do this and this and this and cause a catalyst, maybe we can create, you know, new dilithium, and that ends up destroying all dilithium everywhere. Maybe the ship was totally inoperable, but there's still, like, it's, people have been living on it generation after generation because it's 120 years ago that the burn happened. So there could still be people alive on it. Everybody could be dead. It could be an abandoned ship. I like all those ideas, and there's a lot of potential for storytelling there. But at the same time, I really wanted to see Discovery at some point go back with Michelle Yeoh as Giorgio, because I think there's going to be problems with her being in the future and from a different reality, that she has to go back in time to heal herself. She's going to leave the ship somewhere, and they're literally going to pick it up at some point in the future. That's kind of the original thing that I thought was going to happen, but I don't know how it's going to play in now. So I'm hoping for your ideas as well as my ideas. There's a lot of potential there. So,
and it's definitely, you know, it would be very like Discovery to warp in and find a second Discovery. You know, so they love to embrace their own canon, even though we know the Discovery ship isn't particularly well loved, etc. Although it would kind of bring into question the idea of, did they refit the ship like 2 episodes ago just so the audience is clear that the original version is a different ship? Because showing the old one, 2.5 hours after, as in terms of our watch time after you just changed it, feels like, well, we just saw that one. It doesn't have as much power, although obviously we saw it's a bit grungier in the short. I like the idea. I like that there are a lot more from an alternate universe or from, you know, alternate timeline. That's far more interesting to me, especially if you look at the idea of Control changing timelines, etc. You could always have that. You know, that could be one of because we have no context. It was so obscure. You know, we could easily say that maybe Michael Burnham's mum, who did survive in this timeline, etc. You know, she changed the past 200 times. She was saying maybe one of her versions of the time travel thing, she actually managed to, you know, take a version of Discovery out, and then, you know, put that on a, you know, because if she moved that Discovery into the past, that past would not be changed by the future changes. So that she could easily have moved that, and then that version stays. Because I do like how they're retconning Zara to be why the AI evolves, but in the short Trek, it's just the computer evolved. There's no mention of sphere data. It's just the computer over 1,000 years. But in season 3, the computer's already evolved, so it does. It's forcing sort of a square peg into a rectangle hole. It's like, well, it does, but you haven't really, you know. But it, you know, better than not. But if it is just the same Discovery, there's every question is left to answer, including this war with the Vidrash. I mean, they did mention the Vidrash earlier in the season, so at least there is that direct connection. Although, you know,
the interesting thing, one of the other theories was that the ship was that Discovery was sent back in time with Michelle Yeoh, whatever. They left it in the nebula as a way to see exactly what caused the burn, or to prevent the burn. So a better place to put it than the nebula where the burn originated. That's actually a very interesting idea as well. Like, was this ship put there to observe what caused the burn, or in an attempt to stop the burn from ever happening?
I mean, I love that, but it also feels contrived.
Oh, absolutely it does, but I can see them doing that.
And, the fact that it breaks the temporal... I mean, I guess, well, it does and it doesn't. I mean, by using time travel, it does break the temporal accords, but also if the mission is not to stop the burn, just to get information on the burn, then you're not so much stopping the past as helping to improve the present. So I could see that being a technicality of, well, we're not going to change anything, but that would be so easy. And then obviously then they would have to be using a 1,020-year-old discovery, which should be all but not usable, even though it looked flawless on the inside, etc., etc., which has been unrefitted. They have to refit a century-old ship. I mean, you wouldn't want to...
People have pointed out that it's reconfigurable matter. They can configure it to look like the old ship on the outside, because the inside hasn't changed.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. There might be a reason that we don't know about. But if you can reconfigure matter, you can reconfigure the outside of the ship to look like an older ship.
But if you're going back 1,000 years, you're already before the time it came from anyway. Wouldn't you make it look like an old Vulcan ship that was from that era, etc.? I mean, it's already going to be out of time, and once it goes past the discovery timeline, it's now a relic, and a relic is more interestingly findable.
30 or 1,000 years doesn't mean necessarily 1,000 years. 930 years just rounded up to 1,000 years.
Well, that's a big roundup, though. I know, you'd round...
It is. You're more likely to round down to 900, but just when you're talking in sci-fi terms or just storytelling terms, 1,000 years, like... 100 years can be 80 years.
But there's also a ship's computer who you'd think would be more precise. Like, if you take 1,000 years, I took that as very exacting. Maybe like 1,002, but you would think, though, you'd keep the ship looking as advanced as possible, because if it's trying to survive in a nebula for... Although, I guess that the caveat, though, of it survives for 1,000 years, if you find it in a nebula in the present, it has survived 1,000 years. So, you'd have to equip it with anything special, because you can scan it. Oh, it looks... You know what I mean? Like, you've already passed and presented it. And maybe it'll be as simple... Because they didn't even go into, for 1 second, what the SB9 data was. And why I think Vulcan... There you go. Like, that wasn't even mentioned. It was like, oh yeah, it shows us where the burn is. But why didn't... They're super disconnected with the last episode. So maybe the SB19 is actually going to be the thing that takes them back in time. Like, that was the key. That it can do more than was led on. That's why they buried it. Because, it's hard to go back in time, sort of. As in all the text went to have been destroyed, etc., etc. Though a sling.
Well, considering the SB19 data was basically using gate-like things to travel instantly to another point in space, it could be that it screwed up and did do time travel, and that might be what caused the burn.
No, well, I think we're already past that though, because then it would be very much the cause of the burn. Although another problem with time travel is that the discovery that's if they do find the discovery, its records will be how it went back in time, so they'll know how to go back in time because they've already done it. Hopefully a slingshot around the sun, because that would be, because that's the most obvious thing, is that as the Admiral says, okay, all our time tech got destroyed, but we always have one thing in our back pocket. We always know we can time travel around the sun if we need to. It's just safety is a concern. But because your ship already has done it, we know it's safe enough for you to do. That'd be kind of fun to see Discovery do a time warp.
Let's do the time warp again.
And then again, and again, and again, and again, and again, to get in a single timeline.
So I don't know how it's going to play out, but I mean, there's a lot of potential here. And I was kind of dismayed when the ship got refitted, because I'm like, there goes my Calypso theory. But it is something that I think could be interesting and could definitely be worked in. So,
although the problem with that, though, so we're now getting slightly off, but assuming all that is true, having Georgia in the past, who knows all about the future, she's going to destroy...
Well, it's not good. It's not good for somebody from the Emperor from a Mirror Universe who's now in Section 31. It's almost not good to have that information back in time.
Well, it's awful. I mean, so really, the only thing she can do is go back to her own universe. Is go back in time, because if you can pick when you go back in time, she should go back in time the minute after she left. Or even, would be kind of fun actually, is if she ended up going back in time before Sam died. In our timeline, she jumps to her universe based on tech from that the guy gives her, because they can just do the interdimensional travel. And then she saves San, changes her own timeline, and then we see Discovery come in, and then she helps Discovery get back, and then change the Mirror Universe storyline, and just... That could be kind of fun.
So the Mirror Universe becomes good because she changes things.
Well, no, the Mirror Universe becomes not what we see, and then goes into, I guess, the one we see. Because it'd be kind of fun though if she undoes some stuff and that causes mirror mirror. Because we've already had a timeline reset with Control. So because I went back in time at a certain point, but that was the Control universe, not the TOS universe yet. You could argue that more things can go around. What do you guys think? And as Stuart said, join us for another discussion where your thoughts will be direct and you can give us all those mini theories, comments, questions. This was a good discussion, but I'm excited for more, certainly. I'm visualizing cool things in and out of that nebula, and hopefully it'll be worth the wait. This is kind of the first, besides the, look, how is the Federation? I think this is the first reveal we're waiting for and thinking, okay, this is the payoff. Hope this episode's been good. Let's hope the payoff is good. For the Federation itself was great, so let's hope this one hits the mark as well.
So anyway, guys, until then, I was going to say put your comments down below, but hold on to those and join our live. And if you don't want to miss the live, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell icon so you get notified when we do go live. So you can be part of the conversation directly and give your thoughts and theories, which we will read and talk about live with you guys. So it's basically like a one-on-one sit-down conversation. So join us for that live if you're able to, and look forward to seeing you guys there.
And of course, support us if you can via Patreon monthly, join the channel monthly, Super Chats. I mean, daily, I guess, if you want to.
Yeah, whenever we do a live, jump in.
Or just here's $100 every month, or even $5 a month. Hey, whatever you want. Or PayPal, of course. That stuff goes directly into our account for more kit, etc., etc. New microphones, whatever. Trekyards@hotmail.com. That is a PayPal. But if you can't do any of those things, just tune in, say hi, and hi.
That's right. So until then, I'm Captain Foley.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you guys in a nebula sometime in the future or the past.
Bye, guys.